Well, hello, two people. How you doing? Good morning, Jen. How are you? So I have a premiere coming up at 8 a.m. and I'm definitely going to be there before I get a couple of hours of sleep. I've been on the graveyard shift again, and y'all know how I just go with spirit. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to grab me a little bite to eat, doze for a couple of minutes, because my sleep is just completely switched around, and I know that it's because of spirit and the work that I've been doing. So I don't mind. And so I'm probably going to end up making a part two to this. Now, this discussion is not for men who create stability in the lives of their children. This discussion is not for, you know, good fathers. This is not about good fathers. Chances are, if you are a male and you get insulted by this conversation, then you probably are what we would consider to be a deadbeat father. Okay. And we're not and this also is not about deadbeat mothers who abandon their children and do their children wrong. And the reason why is because we are going to focus on the father. The reason why we have to focus on the father is because the actions and the moves that your father makes in your life, socially, spiritually, and emotionally, are very, very important. This can devastate and literally destroy your life. So that's what I want to talk about today. I hear so many people saying things like, oh, my mother denied me a relationship with my father. My mother did this. My mother did that. Oh, woe is me. Why did my mama have me? I'm so sad because my father is not around. And you see that a lot. And you know what? Those emotions that people feel, I can validate that emotion as long as you release that from yourself. So when your mother tells you and you see your mother working hard every single day, her whole life, to either provide for you or help provide for you, and you see your father trying to destroy all of her dreams, not supporting her career, degrading her, trying to purposely cause problems and issues in her life. And you have to be very observant to this. And your mother says, I gotta go. I can't deal with this no more. Or if she says things to you like, your father tried to stop me from doing this, your father stalked me at work, your father spread rumors about me, your father tried to use his male status or his money against me to hurt me. You need to listen to your mother because, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of times when you have what I call a bitch male, they will do to the children of the mother what they did to the mother. And, but in some cases, maybe perhaps it wasn't like that, but they were actually a good father to the children, right? But in a lot of cases, the father is going to do to the children what they did to the mother. And I want y'all to get past saying, oh, Why did you have me with my father then? Or why did you have me? Because that is a silly question. Your father, for whatever reason, demonic possession, spirit possession, curses, hexes, maybe some helpful Susie Q down the street did a love spell on him. Whatever reason your father changed, he switched gears. And it's not important to fit in. When you have that situation, who cares about fitting in? You need to take care of self. And I'm going to tell you why. Especially if your father was on drugs, child, please. Especially if your father was on drugs and was some kind of devout, hypocritical Christian. And when they say in the Bible that the child suffers from the sins of the father, that is true. And those are spells. And if your father is reading that Bible and it suits him, because some Christian men, they'll say, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna put that on my kid." I think that people do have the right to pick and choose what they want out of the Bible. I know I do. I practice a lot of hoodoo. And I'll say the Lord's Prayer in a minute. I'll use Psalms, and I'm a witch. But sometimes your father is really, really a very evil, diabolical person. And that is the truth. When your mother tells you, watch your father, he did this, X, Y, and Z. And then you go and you say, well, I'm going to talk to my father. And of course, he's going to give a different version of the story. But there are legitimately times when men drop the entire ball. They drop the whole entire ballroom. Okay. Especially if your father was on drugs. I'm talking about heavy drugs like crack cocaine. I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm talking about drugs like crack cocaine, methamphetamines, where people are out there selling their kids for it, giving their kids away for it. Okay. And your father may not have done that to you, but he may have had a moment to where he wanted those drugs so bad that he said it and he thought it. He said, I would give up my whole family just so I can hit that. Okay. I'm just, because we all know that the crack epidemic hit in the freaking 70s, 80s. Okay. Like, so a lot of us Generation Xers, which, God made us perfect for that. Some of us are just, I've seen them, they just fall subservient to that crap, and they have a woe is me attitude. They are not a fighter. They don't fight back. Some of these, you guys, they are about your age. If there was that kind of situation, and you know what? I'm going to tell you something. It's different when the mother, so that's why they want to put it on the mother. Everything on the mother. Even if the man kidnapped the kids and told a bunch of lies, it's easier to put it on the mother. And I'm going to tell you why. And you can even see it in society. You can see it in society that when a woman is a single mother, society is harder on her. They are pieces of crap to her. But when men are a single father, society supports them no matter what. Society got their back. That includes men and women. Oh my God, good job. Oh my God, you're so brave. But when a woman does it, she's the whore of Babylon. She's awful, horrible, terrible person. She may have wanted to get away from that man because he was, and you know, and this doesn't apply. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. Okay. She may have needed to get out of that relationship for whatever freaking reason. Okay. Sure. You know, maybe if she was in her higher self, then maybe she could have figured out that the man was either possessed or something, and she could have possessed the whole house and everything would have been lovely. But that was not the consciousness. In fact, women are discouraged. Okay. They discouraged, thank you, Goddess. They discouraged women standing in their power. They said, follow the man, which some men are actually good. You know, some of them are. So this is not because a lot of people say, oh, she's men bashing. No, I'm not. I'm deadbeat father bashing. You got to look for the signs. Is your father quoting Bible quotes to you? And you haven't really did anything wrong. Is your father super duper controlling? Have you had struggle in life? Have you felt as though you were carrying the load? Did your father actually support you? You have to look at the signs because what we have figured out through research and understanding is that sometimes if your parents got together, made you, made the baby, sometimes your father and your mother did not work out, and your father walked away hating your mother and the children. Why? Because your mother caused him to be seen as a failure, because your mother caused him to not look perfect. His image was ruined, especially if she filed for the divorce. And again, like I said, if that happens, your father may just, he still will be a good father. But some of your parents, some of your fathers stopped being a father. They said, screw you and them kids or that child. I don't care about any of you. You have ruined my image. I am now divorced. I don't love you. I don't love those children. I'm not going to make sure they're okay. In fact, I curse all of you. And this happens. If I had, well, I do have $1 actually right now for every male that has cursed his entire family. What he didn't do was took a gun and blew everybody away. Thank you. But what he did was something worse. Well, not worse, but the reason why I say it's worse is because it's hidden and you can't see it. It's where he sacrificed you. It's where he made sure that your entire life was a struggle. It's where he made sure that you had demons and bad spirits after you. It was where he made sure that you were punished because you are the daughter of that child, of that mother that left him, that maybe abandoned him. And he stayed stuck, and he stayed stuck in his feelings, and he never ever rose above it because he was a victim playing man. Okay. Now, what does a responsible father do? A responsible father would do what? When your mother left him, he still remained a father. He stayed devoted to being a father. He did not try to curse you. He tried to actually be there for you, raise you. Okay. And we all know that there's good fathers out there. So we're not talking about good fathers. We are talking about bad fathers. And this is something that will follow you your entire life. And I'm going to tell you something, and I've been saying this for years. Christianity and religion is the same thing as witchcraft. It is no different. So, what your fathers are doing are cursing you with religion. They can curse you through that. And the next thing you know, you feel judged. You feel struggle. You feel like your father is trying to do the same thing to you that he did to your mother. Is it a coincidence that every single, well, not every single, but you dated or you involved yourself with a string of men that were just like your father? And then sometimes it would seem like they were possessed by your father because they would say things to you, just weird, funny mirror things that your father said to your mother. And they don't even know each other. Have you ever felt like your father had the ability to possess people like Merlin? If you felt this way, you are not crazy. That's called your intuition. And when your mother warned you, your mother warned you, and she not only told you, but she showed you. She showed you. But some of you guys as mothers went through years and years of struggle because that man had her so down, and they expressed that pain in bad ways. There are a lot of women like myself who are pioneer women. I'm like, you know, I was like, I'm doing my thing. Okay, I've always been this way. I ain't gonna never change. This is why I respect and honor men who come to see female practitioners. Because sometimes men, when they get that magic in their hands, they become very, very corrupt. And it's sad when you see a man go to a practitioner and say, curse my ex wife. Whoa, you know that that could affect your children. I don't care. Let them eat cake. I don't care. And you know how men see money as the root of all evil. So they like, okay, you got the money? Okay. Some of your fathers, like I said, if they had an addiction, they did that with the drug dealer. And not by way of pimping you out or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was a unspoken thing, when they was dealing with that demon, you know what I'm saying? Because that drug was more important than you. So you got to be especially careful when you have a father that's a drug addict. Because more than likely, and I'm going to tell you something, more than likely, and I see a lot of parents, I'm not picking on drug addicts, okay? Because I watched that show Intervention, and I see a lot of parents that, they actually they don't do things like that. They would rather hurt themselves, but there are some people who are just very selfish, and they will sell you out. Okay. When that demon is forcing them to choose you, to choose that drug over you, that is an agreement, that's a contract of sacrifice. So many of us, many of you that were children of drug addicts found yourselves going to the other side. You couldn't necessarily live in the this sacred purity and pureness of Jesus all the time. You had to talk to Satan or Lucifer and say, hey, I need for you to free me from this contract. In the meantime, they know they done took out some kind of contract on your energy, on your soul. In the meantime, they know it for a fact. But they're going to hold a Bible up to you and they're going to preach to you and they're going to say, oh, that's evil. That's evil that you're doing that. And you're evil and you're bad and you're evil and you're bad. And see, that is called spiritual and emotional and psychological abuse. And your mother warned you, especially when she the only one that done left you something, and he want to take that too. He don't even want you to have that because he wanted everything. Some of y'all fathers had two X genes just like a woman, and you have to be strong. You don't have to be strong to the point where you all been out of shape, but being strong is standing in your what? In your power as a woman. And that's sad. You know how many, like, I swear, I done talked to and seen so many people, and you don't even hear about it. They don't come out to the public and talk about how horrible their ex-husbands was, or you know what I'm saying? They don't come out and talk about it because they are sitting at their altar and they are making a way and they are making things right. See, the difference is that your mother was willing to give her life for you. She was willing to give up her soul for you. And your father sat up there like a punk and held on to that damn Bible and was willing to give your life for his drugs or his women or his money. He didn't care about your life. And he was willing to give you up because he wanted to frame you and claim that you was just a piece of crap. And some of them is the father. Some of it is the father. And they'll look at, and you know what? Sometimes they'll mess with you. They'll do all kind of trickster things to you. They'll do work on your mama. They'll do work on the whole family. They'll do work on you just so that they can say and settle a score with your mama that they was right. I want to prove something. I want to prove that your mama shouldn't have never left me. I want to prove this. And if I have to destroy your life in the process, I'm going to do it because I want to be right. And we all know it's the truth. And at some point, they come to a point where they have to admit to this, but a lot of them do. Depends on what it depends on if they are in the grace of God, of the true God. If they are in the grace of God, they are going to do that. And it ain't going to be hard for them. Their heart chakra is going to be open. All these children out here struggling, even though you can't always be, because there are some fathers that do right by their kids and their kids make the wrong decisions. There are some mothers that do right by their kids. So, but when it's specifically this setup to where you feel like you in the damn Truman Show and you like, what the hell? Then you know what it is. A lot of these struggling people out here are struggling because they are sold and stupefied. Their souls have been sold, their energy has been sold, and they are stupefied and they have no idea. And it doesn't make any sense. So, whenever you and it's not about, hey, listen, some of us were raised poor. Some of us, our parents were poor. But guess what? When we got older and we had our dreams in life, did your father stand in between that? Did your father try to stop you from doing that? Did your father try to hinder you? No, no, no. You can't be successful. No, you can't. Because your mother left me and your mother broke my home. So that means that you, child, have to make me the right one. And they will literally, this will float through their heads over and over and over and over again. And some of you guys that are psychic, some of you guys that have a powerful intuition, you've been developing your third eye, y'all can hear and sense that thought from them. And they won't even talk to you like a father. They'll be saying all kind of crazy stuff to you, weird stuff, to where you're like, why are you saying that to me? Because his words are important. That's why. Your father's words are important, because his words are spells. His words is what he speaks into the ether and to God about you. His words is what he speaks into your mind. And we don't ever want to talk about that, do we? We don't ever want to talk about spiritual abuse from the father. We never want to talk about that. We always want to bring up the mother. Why? Is this some kind of conspiracy? I've seen women get up and go to work every day. They get up one day, they go outside, and they tires is slashed. Who did it? They daddy. We're not talking about the deadbeat mothers. We're not talking about that. Okay? Because men have male privilege, all of them. Even black men have male privilege. Okay? So women are the most vulnerable. That's why we're talking about the man. We're not talking about the women. But even though we know women can do some vile things to their children. And, so we're not talking about that, because some of y'all are probably listening and you're saying to yourself, well, my mama let my stepdaddy come in and do this and do that. We're not talking about that right now. I'm speaking specifically to those that have a father that is working against them, especially a lot of you witches. Because your father more than likely knew that you was a witch. Your father more than likely knew that your mama was a witch, or her grandmama was a witch, or her mama was a witch, specifically to the witches. Okay. Not just specifically the witches, but just, women that don't uh, identify as a witch as well. A corrupt man, a man that has been corrupted and he uses his power against innocent women, has got to be the lowest form of life, the lowest life form. And it just is what it is. So this is the reason why a lot of women have had to become the chariot. This is the reason why. And I know a lot of y'all are daddy's girls. Oh, daddy, daddy, daddy. What about your mama? What about that woman that got up every day and took care of you? Made you get up out of bed and go to school, or woke you up to do your homeschooling, cooked dinner for you every night, kept you safe, made sure you here. And a lot of y'all ain't never had nothing happen to y'all, because you are possibly under some kind of possession or something, you know. But your mother was telling you and she was warning you. For example, let's say that your father didn't want your mother to be stable. And your father, because that's what my premiere is about. It's not about this subject, but the premiere is all about housing stability. What if your father didn't want your mother to buy a house? And what if your father feels the same way about you? What if your father does not want you to buy a house and be stable? What if he doesn't want that? What if your mother came to you and told you, your father's trying to stop me from buying my house? What kind of father tries to stop the mother of their children from prospering? Who does that? A lot of them do. It happens. Okay? It happens. And I can tell you one thing is that the witches are ready for them. Okay? We're ready for them because it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And sometimes if you question your father in any way, all of a sudden you got to be dressed in rags, or you got to be poor, and you got to be struggling, you got to be out on the street, you got to be homeless. Some fathers can be very, very ruthless. Whereas a good father would say, hey, listen, we're not getting along right now. So you go out there, you do your thing, just as long as you don't bring that up in my house or whatever, then I'm fine. Go somewhere, be happy and be prosperous. But some of y'all fathers do not want you to be prosperous. And that's why you struggling so much. That's why you are struggling, because some of them is paying witches and working with witches and covens against you. And you can see it through spirit. You can see it. Ain't nobody stupid. And they'll go, oh, this person is paranoid and delusional and da 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 da. Well, I'm not climbing the walls. I'm not harming anybody. We're just raising a valid point. Y'all remember that movie Eve's Bayou? Samuel L. Jackson was actually a good father. He wasn't he wasn't it come to find out that Samuel L. Jackson was actually a good father. He wasn't necessarily a good husband because he kept cheating on his wife, but he was a good father in that movie. Y'all remember that movie Eve's Bayou? It takes me back to that. And that movie has always sat heavily on my heart because that girl is gonna have to go through the guilt for the rest of her life. But when you do, because of what your father is saying directly to you, the words that he is speaking to you. And I'm sorry, even women can be catty with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as the cycle doesn't continue to repeat. But when your father violates your trust, that's Armageddon. For me, it would be Armageddon because that relationship is way too important. And it was because they made it important. Oh, your father wouldn't even let your mother sleep. Them spirits and demons and stuff he put on your mother, she couldn't even sleep at night, barely. And now the same thing is happening to you. So what do you do? Well, it's a lot that you can do. Since people tend to think, and you got to be careful when you hear people talk this way. If you ever hear your father saying, well, I had you, every time you say anything to him about anything, or you just want to have a discussion about things that have happened, well, I had you, as if that's all that it took to be a father. Just the same way, if a mother gives birth, having a baby doesn't necessarily make you a good mother or a good father. What's wrong with you having a discussion and talking to your kids if they say, "Hey, dad," and you saying, "You know what? I was wrong for that. And I apologize. And I want us to have a good relationship." What's wrong with that? Nothing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And my God, if your mother had to go through changes to where she literally had to throw your father out of the house or either leave him, and she didn't want him in your house, she didn't want him around you. Now we do know that some mothers do that because maybe the father is falling out of love and he don't want to be with her, and yeah, we know that that does happen. But what about the times when that has nothing to do with it, when the mother is just genuinely trying to protect her children? What about that? So, and so keep that in mind. Now, especially if, in my humble opinion, I do believe that if your parent gets to the point where, and I actually speak about my mother in the video that's premiering it at 8 a.m. Eastern. I actually speak about my mother because my mother, even though me and her had problems, we did, and but we good now. I talk and commune with my mom all the time in the spirit realm. But she is the more stable parent because when she passed away, she was in her house that she was buying. And so then these fathers will say, well, let's not put an emphasis on money. Oh, the money had nothing to do with it. I don't need to provide for you to be a good father. I don't need to provide for you to be a good father. What? What kind of malarkey is that? I didn't have to provide for you nothing for you to be a good father. Excuse me? I didn't have to help to be a good father. I just had you. So, and that's something that it becomes a curse, it becomes a stigma, and it's something that you carry with you, you know? And it's hard. It's hard. I speak to people every single day who have parents that both the parents love them. But I also speak to people and I see people whose father hates them or is disgusted by them for the dumbest reasons. For the dumbest reasons. And it's disgusting. So, and really the only thing that you can do is you know, I believe that especially some of you witches that it has something to do with stopping and ending those negative cycles that they create in your life to make your life so much more difficult for you, so much harder for you. And it's sad because you end up becoming a pawn in their game, is what's so sad about it. So, it's time to grow up. Stop blaming your mama for everything. Okay, stop blaming her for everything. Maybe she didn't want to tell you everything. Maybe there's certain things that she kept from you. Maybe she didn't want to tell you that your daddy was beating on her. Maybe she, and that's why she left. Okay. Maybe she didn't want to tell you the stuff that, maybe she didn't want you to become like that. Okay. And yeah, some of y'all did have mothers that was abusive to you because she was angry at your father. We're not talking about those. We're talking about good mothers that kept it real with you and told you the truth. And then you forgot, or either you put it in the back of your mind, and you kind of didn't really trust your mother all the way. Okay. And I will tell you that yes, there are mothers and grandmothers that you can't trust sometimes. Absolutely. We're talking about specifically the stigmatization of having a father that does that to you. And they'll talk about you real bad. They'll gossip about you, and yeah, and they do the same thing that deadbeat mothers do. Gossip about you, talk about you in a way to where they're in competition with you. It's not like they just needed somebody to talk to or say, well, such and such happened, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and I'm concerned and I want my child to be okay. No, I'm talking about that. BITCH did this and did that. Talk about you like you a dog, like you ain't even a child. Y'all, why did that dog across the street start barking as soon as I said dog? That dog is connected to me because I swear to God, every time I say something or sometimes when I'm doing ritual, that dog will just start barking. It's funny. The dog across the street is a cute little black dog across the street. Yeah. So, and I think that people need to look out for that. And so a lot of people like to live in a pretty lie. They like to pretend that something is going on that's not, when in reality, your father has self hatred, self loathing, and he hates you too. And you're going to have to come up out of that. You are going to have to defend yourself. You are going to have to grab the bull by the horns and live your life. And I know some of you that are watching, y'all already know. And they'll say, well, them cards don't mean, them cards is lying to you. No, they're not lying, because you gave me confirmation because of the things that you said to me. That's why I ain't talked to you in 5 years. Some of y'all thinking that. That's the reason why you ain't spoke to your father in a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months. Okay. A psychic reading on the situation means nothing when you're showing me how you feel about me. And why not just leave me alone? Why are you stalking, trolling, doing weird things? Why are you doing that? Okay. And it happens a lot. Y'all wouldn't believe it. Like, it's insane. And then also sometimes those spiritual contracts and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And God did not mean for you, because that saying, which they may have gotten this saying for the Bible, I brought you into this world and I'll take you out. That I hate that saying, because I hate that saying. And you know what? That's the reason why I don't worry about my children being disrespectful to me. They have before, I'm not even gonna lie. But you don't see me talking about it. You just see me working the situation out with my children. There's been times when me and my kids have had issues or whatever. Just them still my kids. That's my responsibility. Everything that my kids say to me, that's me. That's me. And that's not to say to just let your children run over you. I ain't saying nothing like that. You got to let them know, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I love you. I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Let's let's not do that. Okay. um but they go through what children, they go through what you go through. But see, in our society, children are pretty much devalued. That's why we see a lot of children being murdered, we see a lot of children being raped, we see a lot of children being sex trafficked. They have absolutely no voice whatsoever. And that's why they killed Whitney Houston, because she made a song called "I Believe Our Children Are Our Future." That's why they killed her. They wanted to let you know. Okay. So, and children grow up to be adults with wounds inside of them that need to be healed. And so the first thing people think about when a witch talks about this, they think, oh, you're just trying to get revenge. That's why we don't trust you, because you want to get revenge on your father. Or you want to help people get revenge on their daddy and do something bad to them and hurt them. No, no, it's all about liberation. That's all it's about, is liberation and freedom. That's all it is about. Okay. And parents can make mistakes when you're younger, but when you in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, which are very, very important ages, it's time for, that parent to say, yeah, but, let's face it, uh, because I've seen it. And, people in the spiritual community actually talk about it. They actually talk about how sometimes you got parents going to these pseudo spiritualists and doing things to harm their children purposely. You hear about it. So, and spiritual abuse and spiritual problems is just the same. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no different. Because what I forgot to tell y'all is when I took that trip to that astral prison, that person that was holding those people's souls prisoner said, well, I got the permission of so and so. And I said, no, you don't. That person didn't have the authority. Only God has that authority. Okay. And the closest thing that you are going to get to God, to be honest with you, is the woman. If the woman is corrupt, then you have a problem. But if you, it's, and parents make mistakes sometimes, and they do things, and but at the end of the day, you are empowered to change that situation. You do have a choice. And there were things that happened to you as a child that you didn't have a choice, but now you do have a choice, because now you are an adult and you are not a child, and you do not have to live that way. You don't have to exist that way. And don't worry about the rest of society, because because if you are a person that has been through that, then sometimes society just won't understand, because it's, shh, don't talk about that. We must not talk about those things, but we do have to talk about those things. And it's not about shaming. It's not about shaming. It's all about liberation. You don't have to go out and tell the world what happened to you and all of that stuff. Just get the help for it. You don't have to go up to people and tell them everything bad that happened to you. You can come and tell me, because I ain't gonna tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'll be your best friend, but you don't have to, you don't have to bury your soul to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people that are gonna be like, They're not going to understand because they may have had loving parents that took very good care of them and made sure that they had a good start at life. And I'm not talking about just school. Everybody always says school, school. Well, school may be one part of it in education, but it's also the monetary thing. It's the monetary thing because a lot of y'all that went to school, you graduated high school, top of the class, went to college, you can't even find a job. And you've been going through it for the past decade. You can't even find a job. Okay. All right, guys, I got to go. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up. Okay. Make sure that you subscribe. And if you guys need to reach me, the link to my website is below. Okay. All right, guys, I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Blessings. Bye bye.